Have you been told your voice is too soft, too loud, or just too boring? Does your voice tone make you sound younger, intimidating, or does it not match what you are saying? Do you want to be heard clearly, stop repeating yourself, and be more influential when speaking? In this live stream session, it can help you address those challenges. Welcome to the education section with the topic 7 speaking voice elements that empower your leadership credibility. And it is conducted by EIY Public Speaking and Professional Development and Miss Maria. For the past 20 years, she has been empowering people to present on platforms with confidence, competence, and certainty by tweaking the voice, mindset, and message to powerfully communicate with influence. Hello, Miss Maria. Welcome to the education section of EIY.
Hello, Anne. Thank you so much for having me here today with you and all of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Anne, and I am the founder and CEO of EIY Public Speaking and Professional Development. The first question that I would like to send to Miss Maria is, how important is your voice when communicating?
Well, how important is your voice? Well, it is the most important part to your communication. Without a voice and the power of your voice, people do not hear the words. Words alone are not as important as the tone of your voice. So the tone of your voice takes 7 seconds. Within 7 seconds, somebody will know whether they should trust you, whether you're credible, experienced, and whether they want to continue speaking to you. It takes 7 seconds alone. Communication, voice is the most important. The voice is the face of communication.
I see. It means that that is the first impression that people are gonna watch you and they're gonna understand who you are, right? Or they can even make the judgment about you as well.
Yeah, it's the organ of the soul. The voice is the organ of the soul. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said that when we're speaking, we're actually opening up our souls with people. We're being vulnerable, we're being open, we're creative, we're intentional, and we're passionate. Now, if you're not doing any of that because you don't have any tone and you're just logically speaking, not using the limbic system, you're just logically thinking about only your words, then you're likely to be missing out on the most important aspect of communication, which is voice tone, and that is non-verbal information. 93% of communication is non-verbal information. And here we are thinking about words all the time and what words to say, what words not to say, without understanding that the tone is very important and the gesturing and the expression of your voice.
I understand that voice is really important when we're communicating a message. How can we practice being aware of your voice? Because as you said, that sometimes we're not aware of our voice. We just only pay attention to the words itself.
Yes. So one of the ways to do that is to record yourself and listen back. See, nobody can hear the sound of their voice inside their head because you can't hear it because it's like it's all stuck inside. And sometimes people say to me, oh, I have a very deep voice. And then I listen and I go, you don't have a deep voice. Who said you've got a deep voice? Well, they can't hear that they speak like this all day. They can't hear it because they're so used to it. So we can't really tell what our voice sounds like until we listen to a recording. And people hate listening to a recording. They listen to a recording, they say, oh my goodness, is that me? I hate listening to myself. Even really good speakers and good singers don't like listening to themselves because it's quite confrontational. But unless we listen, we never know what we're actually creating. And so that's the only way, is to raise awareness by listening back to the recording and then getting some feedback too, because that's really vital, is that we get some feedback about how am I really coming across to people in my team? How am I coming across in my leadership style or in my ability to influence others? How does it come across? And doing some sort of feedback survey with those that you're working with that can you trust, that will be open with you. Yeah.
See. Do you think that recording is a great way to reflect your real voice?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
recording is your voice. Whether that's video, I believe video is different to just audio, because if you're also looking at your face, face and voice together communicate. So our gestures and our expression carries information, non-verbal information that gives meaning to our words. So with those gesturings and the voice tone, we have meaning in our words. And so, yes, it is important you listen back, because that is the way you sound according to the recording.
I see. So in order to understand our voice, it's better to record it, and then we can understand how do we sound, right?
Yeah, you can hear your accent. You can hear if you're mumbling. You can even watch your face and see whether you're expressive or open enough, and whether you're willing to be vulnerable, or whether you're tight and stuck like this, where it's clear enough. You can even have your voice transcribed as you speak. Even on Zoom, you can actually transcribe it. And that will pick up if there's any accent problems, or if there's any words that even Zoom is not picking up.
I
And
see.
that's important too, because clarity is important, that we're not mumbling and that we're clear.
I see. Then the next question is that after we record our voice already, what is the next step in order to practice enhance your voice power?
Yeah, there are exercises you can do, voice exercises. And I have a course online called 7 Elements to Speaking Elements to help you sound credible and influential. And in that program, there is information and exercises you can do to be clear, to be strong. So you don't sound breathy like that, okay? Because we don't want that kind of tone if you have authority. You know, Margaret Thatcher, which was a prime minister of England, she basically had a voice coach change from her before and after voice. You can even go to YouTube and see how she changed from a very breathy voice to having much more authority in her voice in those days when women weren't in leadership, and she had to really change her voice. So there is a lot of knowledge around and awareness already in leadership that people with stronger voices are paid more money. So how do you do that? You actually exercise your voice with exercises, listen back to recordings, and get a coach. Most of the time it's great to get a coach, because you can't hear and you cannot see the potential of what you can do with your voice.
I see. So it means that record your voice, understand your challenges and your strength, and after that you may want to find down someone to help you.
So voice, exactly, because voice is a muscle habit. So it becomes a habit and a tone quality vibration that we get used to. And it's very hard to actually break away from it unless somebody from the outside is helping you. It's very difficult for you to analyze your own voice and change it without that kind of input from somebody outside of you, tweaking and channeling the voice with the use of consonants and vowels, warm-up exercises, all in different pitches and frequencies.
I see. It means those people can help us to recognize our challenges, right?
Yes, somebody outside of you, because it's very hard for you to, even if you knew what to do, it's still quite tricky to do it alone.
I see. Got you. As you said that whenever you have a stronger voice or your voice has power, you can increase your pay in corporate world. But if some people they have natural soft voice, it means that sometimes it's really hard for them to project their voice louder. So what do you think? What are the factors that it impacts your volume, and how can you project your volume to gain credibility in corporate world?
Okay, so projection doesn't mean that you're louder, because sometimes louder can be also forceful, and it also can sound aggressive, and it can sound intimidating.
Yeah.
And louder isn't pleasant. What we want is a fuller, more resonant voice. So in other words, we want the same piano, for example, to play beautifully. If you have a more expensive and more sophisticated piano, it will play more beautifully. Or guitar, it'll sound better because of the wood quality and the shape of it. creates a beautiful sound, as opposed to a cheaper version of a guitar or a cheaper piano. So we're talking about resonance. So when the vibration and the frequencies of your voice is more balanced, like a PA system, low, medium, and high, when it's more balanced, your voice will be projected, will be more full, and it'll be more free. And that's different to just becoming louder. Softer, breathy voices are not leadership voice. It's not a leadership voice. It's a nurturing voice. It's beautiful for caring for children and for doing more meditation and softer work like hypnosis or meditation or counseling, but it is not the voice of somebody who leads and gives instruction, or somebody that has to create guidance. A teacher, for example, a trainer, a mentor, a coach should not have a breathy voice because it lacks strength, and breathiness is also fatiguing for the voice. It can cause a lot of damage, and huskiness. So we need to be very careful what we mean by that. A soft voice can also be culture. Some cultures want women to speak softer because it makes them more subservient and quieter and humbler. But it's not always a great voice for leadership.
Yeah, definitely. How can you know that your voice is full enough?
Feedback again. Feedback. And you would need to speak to a voice coach because they know the potential of your voice. Just generally speaking, the feedback would be that people would be asking you to speak up, please speak up, can't hear you. Your manager might give you feedback and say you're always quiet, you're not speaking out. And when you do speak, people take over, they override you, you're not heard. And they're all clues that your voice is too soft and it's minimized, it's too small. So a soft voice can also make you look smaller and more minor. Okay. So a stronger voice lifts your presence. And I'm not talking about yelling or shouting. That's a totally different subject. We're talking about a full voice shows authority, maturity, and strength. Deep breath. It has a deep breath, a belly breath. The larynx is lower. It's more calming and it's more reassuring. And it has stronger leadership capacity. So how can you tell? Is you usually get feedback, people take over when you speak and you're not heard. You become the quieter one in the meeting. That's all to do with a soft voice. It gives people the impression that you want to take the back seat. You want to be small. You want to stay in the background.
I see.
That's the message it gives people.
I think one of the reasons why many corporate professionals couldn't get promotion in their work is not just because of their specialization, but it's more about the voice, or it's more about the executive presence that they project themselves, or their voice in particular, right?
Yeah. So it's non-verbal information. So the executive presence is about presence, and people say, what does it mean? Well, it means a lot of things. Executive presence is not just about intelligence, but it's about presence. Presence is who's showing up, and how are you showing up? And when you show up, what do people feel? How do they feel? Do they feel safe? Do they feel good? So we also want to show up with a presence that says to others, you are safe, you matter, we value you. You see, so authority in a strong voice does not mean it intimidates people or that you're not friendly or that you're going to be bossy. It does not mean that. That's not executive presence. An executive would be great leadership presence, higher level presence. Presence is something we feel, not so much something we do. Yeah. So it's more about being mindful, and it's more about awareness. And awareness is about a higher level consciousness, which really is about creating space for others and you being there as a leader. In fact, doctors in America are sued because they are missing two qualities. The ones that are sued, when they're giving people a diagnosis, they're missing two qualities. The first one is they do not deliver the information with some sense of authority and leadership and strength. They don't do that. And the second thing they're not doing is also having empathy in their voice. So they don't show empathy, calmness, and warmth. So when you're unable to do both the strength and the leadership and the empathy and the warmth and the calmness together, that is what I believe is executive presence when it comes to voice tone. The voice tone, to be authentic, has to be matched with gesturing and body language and facial expression. All of that is creating meaning that, we're here for you and you're safe and you matter.
There are 2 points that I picked up from your sharing. The first one is the way that you can project your competence is based on your the first thing is your competence, and the second one is your empathy. It means your warmth. That to project your executive presence. And the second point that is answer a question: do you think that your voice is shaped by your personality or the way you bringing up?
Yes, yeah, your culture, the way you have been raised in your family, your belief systems, whether they're religious belief systems or just culturally religious, whatever culture background and community, all sorts of even peer pressure beliefs. All of that affects how we show up and how vulnerable we want to be, how intelligent we want to be, because emotional intelligence is very much a part of executive presence. Emotional intelligence should be one of the most important criteria that we look at in order to communicate more powerfully. And that includes awareness of self and awareness of others, authenticity, emotional reasoning, that you're comfortable to tell people why it is you say what you say. You're comfortable, you're open, and then self-management, and then inspiring performance. So emotional intelligence, that's important. But in order to do that, some of us have to break our old rules. We have to review what we believe, and if those belief systems are still working for us. We need to be courageous and step up from limitations that are created around religious, spiritual, or cultural beliefs and rules and values that can limit you. And so it's a big subject, communication. Your voice is always the way you believe. And I feel like having a drink. Do you mind? Because water is very important when you're speaking.
Yeah, definitely, Ms. Maria. One of the problems that I think our viewers having right now is whenever we speak in English, we have some redundant words or filler words such as how can I say like that. They keep saying that in order to pause before they come to the next point. How can we address that challenge?
By accepting space, by allowing pauses. We need space between words. If there's no space, there's no breath.
I see.
It's a pause is an opportunity for a breath. A pause is an opportunity for somebody to hear what it is that you said, to process what it is that you said. You can always use the pause to help people hear your words in a more meaningful way. But if you fill it with ums, ers, and there's no pause. There is no space. It would be equivalent to writing and joining all the words together and creating no space. And we cannot see the words without space. Also, full stops are important, aren't they? Capital letters, paragraphs, and sometimes chapters. We need all of those to create meaning in our words and separation from one thing to the other. So how do you stop that? Is virtually you need to respect space and you need to be calm and just pause.
I see.
Practice. Record yourself, listen back to a video, listen back to a recording, and have a listen. Are you pausing for too long? Does your pause sound natural?
I got your point. I even see some people were trying to pause, but they feel awkward with the pauses.
Yeah.
Because just suddenly that they just stop there, they don't say anything else. They just feel awkward because of that pause, and instead of feeling that awkwardness, they will say something like feeling worse. How can we overcome that awkward feeling in order to pause, like what you suggested?
You need to be more calm, more peaceful. Practice meditation. The more we practice meditation and mindfulness of our communication, the more we can, during the day, just listen. Like right now, we have the rain. Just listening to the rain.
I see, being the present.
Listening to the wind, being present. And practicing that during the day should help you become calm when you speak. Because the reality is executive presence is calmness. It should not be busy talking, too fast, too busy. And sometimes we're speaking too many words, and it's not necessary.
You know what? I find calmness in your voice when you say calmness.
Calmness is powerful. Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah. Some people falling into the trap of monotone expressions. How can we overcome that challenge, Miss? Because I know that pitch is really important when you speak. It creates variety in your voice. Yeah.
So monotone can happen when you're very worried about what you're saying, when you're concentrating on your words too much instead of the meaning of the words. When you are struggling with the English language and you're concentrating on your words so much because you don't want to get the words wrong. So when it becomes the logical mind, then we're switching off the emotional side of our brain. So we have two parts of our brain, the limbic system, which is logical, and the amygdala, which is the emotional we've got the prefrontal cortex, which is the logical area of the mind, and then we have the limbic system, which is the amygdala, which there you have the emotional side of where we speak. Now, what we want to do is be able to feel the words that we're saying.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I said it's a beautiful day today, it's a beautiful day today, I'm also stressing the word and I'm spending time creating the word beautiful day today by stretching it out, stressing it out. So having those kind of expressions remove the monotone. So monotone is when you're speaking on 1 and 2 notes all the time. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. What we need to be able to do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up the stairs and down the stairs. Visualizing movement. So the movement of our words and maybe even using our body more helps us express ourselves better. But if your body's stiff, your jaw's stiff, and your mind is thinking words only, and you're just reading all the time, you become very robotic. That's not human. So monotone again is to deliberately express yourself with low, medium, and high pitches. Now, what are they? Do you know, like with a mixer, you can have the low tones, medium, and highs. Play with your voice. High, 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 high. My name is Maria. Your name is Jack. So just experimenting. And a lot of people that do this in the beginning, they hate it and they feel weird. But actually, when they listen back, it sounds pretty good.
I see. So it means that it's better to play with your voice in order to practice different pitches.
Play with your voice like an actor. Yeah, and get it back on Zoom. Jump on Zoom on a recording and just, kind of like go, okay, I'm going to play with my voice. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit. Let's see what happens. Wow. You could even read out some poetry. or a story. Pretend you're speaking to a child, then pretend you're speaking to a teenager, pretend you're speaking to an old man who can't hear you. Just try different things, stimulate your emotions. Your voice can change, not just your logic mind, because your logic mind isn't colourful enough. It doesn't have enough expression. It's really just meticulous. Monotone is also when we're using the same rhythm all the time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And everybody sounds the same and very monotonous. Even the rhythm of the speaking sounds the same. It doesn't change. It's like everything sounds the same. Everything goes on and on and on. My name is Maria Pellicano, and I come from Melbourne, and I live in a house, and it's been raining all winter, and we've been in lockdown for 220 days. Okay. Instead of like, my name is Maria Pellicano, and I live in Melbourne, right? So I'm just expressing myself by not being so logical about it, but meaning.
I see. Do you think that sometimes we have monotone voice just because we don't put enough emotion into what we are saying?
100%. Yes. It's because of that. It's because we're not attaching emotion and meaning. And so people say, but how can I put emotion?
Yeah.
Emotions are very important. That's what makes us different. The reason why we can tell one person reading the same document from another person is because they express it differently. Even two great singers will sing the same song and express it differently because their voice is unique when it comes to the expression of it. But if we don't allow that and we need to be the same as everybody else, then we become monotone. And the other thing is warming up. Like we have a warm-up exercise like this. See? Exercising your voice. Exercising. They're warm-ups. And make your voice expressive. Change it. Move your face around. Just move your face, move your body, move your voice, exercise it, wake it up.
Yeah.
Particularly for the corporate people, because they always very much, everybody's doing the same thing, very robotic, unexpressive usually.
I find those exercises very useful in order to warm up your voice before you speak.
And lots of water. We need to drink water.
Okay. There is a point in your sharing which is about pitch. So I'm just wondering that what is the difference between pitch and inflection?
Well, it's kind of like you can't have an inflection without the ability to shift your pitch. Pitch is like, it's like on a piano, just going on a piano. I'm able to go low, medium, head, voice, back down. So I'm shifting the pitch. So if I say, hey, great to see you today, Anne. What have you been doing today? Well, I did a lot of cleaning and getting rid of clutter today. And it was a rainy day. So I'm just shifting my voice to be more expressive, to be more interesting. Some people don't get hypnotized because I'm always speaking at one level and I never change. And it's so boring that I cannot follow. But if you're shifting your voice and changing it and being more expressive, right, then that helps other people engage with you because it's just more interesting. So your question was, what is the difference between pitch, or how is pitch and inflections? Is that right? Intonation, inflection. Now, intonation would be like, how are you today? How are you today? I'm really good. See, how are you today? I'm really good. How are you today? I'm really good. That's monotone. How are you today? I'm really good. And then, that's always at one level. How are you today? I'm really good. And what did you do today? Well, I don't know what I did today because everything sounds the same and I can't even tell anymore. Right? So there's like 1, 2 notes. But if I say, how are you today? Yeah, I'm really good. today I did a lot of cleaning. Wow. And I got rid of things I could never do 2 years ago. I was saving things, but today I could just clean them out. You see, so I'm using inflection and intonation to allow that voice to be more expressive.
Okay, so if you wrap up the definition of inflection and pitch into one sentence, what is the difference?
Well, intonation requires pitch, a variety of pitch, low, medium, and high. My name is James Bond, right? Medium, low. My name is James Bond. I just went high, medium, and low. So pitch, that is pitch, and that's intonation. Now, intonation would be the ability to use pitch well.
I see.
But you can't have an intonation, you can't use intonation without the ability for your voice to be flexible enough to have the variety of pitch. So what comes first is flexibility of your voice. Some people's voices are so stiff, it doesn't change because they don't do exercises. They don't know where to start. A lot of men don't have high pitch. A lot of women don't have low pitch, right? So therefore, the pitch is limited, and therefore I would say their ability to have intonation and inflections when they're speaking is going to be limited.
Yeah, for sure. Because we don't know our potential. We have an
you don't have the range, the voice range that the pitch is about being able to stretch the range. Okay. Pitch is also, and this can be used in other ways. Pitch is also about, have you hit the right pitch for a song? Have you hit the right note? Did you hit that note? In other words, did you sing that note, that pitch? But what we're talking about here is pitch being making sure you've got a variety of vocal range. So that's range, flexible range. So then I can use my voice in many different ways and be more expressive. So then I'm not monotone. And so then I can communicate more interestingly and create more meaning and be more memorable.
Yeah, sure. So
how it kind of works together. Yeah,
understand. Intonation is the ability to use pitch. That is a very wise.
You've done it well. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, okay. I think that we come to the last question of our live stream section here. And the last question is, how can we overcome fast-paced speaking?
Yeah, great question, Anne. You're really asking some of the best questions. Again, fast-paced speaking is lack of awareness. Awareness that your heart's beating so fast that you might be nervous. You might be selfishly speaking. You're speaking and you're not including others. I look at speaking as communication as a ball game. I throw the ball and then somebody catches it and they throw it back to me. And then I throw the ball and somebody catches it and they throw it back to me. But when I throw the ball, I have to really care enough to see how tall the person is. Are they a child? Are they a teenager? Are they an adult? Are they an old person? How big are their hands? Where are they positioned? I want to throw the ball so then they can catch it successfully and throw it back to me. If there's no exchange, there is no communication. When I'm speaking fast, usually people are so into themselves, they're just really, it's as if only they exist. They're not meaning it that way, but if you actually observe it, a person that's speaking fast is not including the other person. Because speaking fast is not useful. Now, people think, some cultures think that speaking fast shows that you're intelligent because your mind is fast and that you're intelligent. However, it's not effective because it's not creating enough space, like we were talking about before. There's no space. It's associated to anxiety. And it's, for me, from my observation, I feel it's quite selfish when we speak fast, because it doesn't matter about the other. All I'm thinking about is me, myself, and I, and that's why I'm speaking fast.
I see. So it means that if someone's speaking fast, it means that they need a bit more awareness to consider who the audience is.
So awareness of yourself, recording yourself, watching some videos, getting some feedback, relaxing your nervous system. That is, maybe your heart's beating too fast. Maybe you've had too many stimulants and coffee and whatever else is causing you to speak so fast. And perhaps your parents spoke fast, so you do, and your leaders have spoken fast. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a group of people and everybody speaks fast, it's not going to matter. But if you're speaking globally now, like we do, we speak to people from all over the world, and English often is a second language, and so we need to slow it down and create space. So awareness around that is important, and feedback again, or recordings of yourself.
I see. I think that one of the key takeaways that I got from our sharing today is to be awareness, and to raise your awareness, to be aware of your voice, of where you are right now, and then you're gonna ask yourself what is the next step in order to develop your voice and project your leadership ability.
Yeah, and communication is, a lot of communication is more about listening than speaking. When we're speaking fast, we're actually not listening, and we're not reading the atmosphere. We're not reading the body language of the other. We're so into ourselves that it's as if I'm throwing the ball, throwing it, and I don't care if you catch it or not. I'm just going to throw 20 balls. If you catch it, that's up to you. If you don't catch it, that's got nothing to do with me. Well, that's not communication. That is not a dialogue. That's a monologue. It's all about you, yourself, and I. And I believe that communication is truly about engaging together, exchanging, engaging, and a lot about listening and curiosity, stillness, expression, and serving the other to make it easy for the other to listen, because it is all about the other. A successful communicator will make it all about the other.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very wise message, thinking about your audience when you communicate your message. That is dialogue.
Well, that's the point of it, to ask yourself, why am I even speaking? If this is all about me, myself, and I might as well just do a Zoom meeting by myself, a telephone call by myself, and just get it out. Get it out of your system. But it's not about getting it out of your system. It's about dialoguing.
One of the main reasons why I really like my job to be a moderator and interviewing speakers, because I learn so much from speakers. And today there are so many things that I learned from you, Miss Maria, because you showed me one of the first steps to improve your voice is to be aware, and also some tips in order to get over some of challenges of our voice. Thank you so much for that. On behalf of our viewers, I feel grateful. And hello, everyone. We will see each other again tomorrow with one of the controversial topics in workplace. That is speaking up in meetings. I think that is a very hot topic that our corporate professionals are looking for. And I hope to see you again at 6:30 tomorrow night. And thank you so much.
Yeah, that's okay. And one more thing. So if anybody wants any of those courses that we were talking about, you can provide the links.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Oh, already. Okay, that's great. So there's a special offer there. And so thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I hope you guys are out there. I didn't see anybody, but I'm sure there is people listening. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you would like to read the books of Miss Maria, 7 Elements of Voice in order to enhance your leadership, you can see in our comment section.
Yeah, and there's a book too online on my website called The Art of Powerful Communication, which is on Amazon. Okay then. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.